Hi everyone, this is my open mic week 62. No, I'm just kidding. The competition there is getting way too high. It's way out of my league. There's my lovely Christmas tree over there, all naked, waiting to get her clothes on. I just wanted her to get comfortable being naked around me first. But ain't she sweet? Actually, I came across the rare occurrence this week where there was an agreement between Ned, Bernie Sanders and block trades. But I can't say that I agreed with any of them.
So we need to make sure that it's built in a way where the incentives are aligned. And when I say that, what I mean is we want the incentives to be aligned across the user base and then all the way through to the platforms that run the Steam technology.
So I wrote a post this week to explain what I disagreed with, and it was comparing curation on Steam to betting in the bookies. And then I realised that betting shops is really a British and an Irish thing, and a lot of Americans wouldn't even go to betting shops. You'd have your underground bookie, of course, but it's definitely not as mainstream or legal as it is here in Ireland and the UK. So I thought maybe people didn't actually understand exactly why I was comparing the horse betting industry with curation on Steam. But I used to have a job working in a bookies myself. I was never really much of a gambler myself. Like once I lose twice, I kind of remind myself of the definition of insanity and that's it for me. But my granddad was big on horse racing, so I did always have a bit of an interest. He called it a business. Anyway, if you're familiar with betting on horses or dogs or football or whatever it is, then you're probably familiar with the stakes and odds, or price, as it's also called. If you're not familiar with betting on those things, then maybe you're not aware of those things. So, stake is what you choose to pay for your bet, whereas the odds is what the bookie chooses as your potential prize. Basically, the odds are used to multiply with the stake if your horse wins. So if you place a stake of $10 on a bet where the odds are 10 to 1, then your prize is 10 times 10, which is $100, plus your money back, which is $110. And I'm going to get around to comparing this to Steam, so stay with me here. Those of you who are already experienced with bookies, you know that it's rare you'll see a race where all the horses have the same odds. You might see it in football and other two-team sports, but with races that involve more than 2 or 3, you'll notice that the bookie doesn't give all the horses the same price. So the bookie determines the price first by working out what percentage chance the horse has of winning, and then divides that number into 100. So if a horse has a 20% chance of winning the race, then his odds are 5 to 1. And that usually gets rounded up a little bit just so that the bookie can ensure that he definitely makes a profit. Let's say you had 5 horses in a race and the bookie decided all horses have the same chances of winning, regardless of experience or who the rider is or the trainer or the age of the horse or any of the many variables that affect their odds at winning. Well, all 5 horses would have a price of 5 to 1. But because punters who bet on horses take it very seriously, they do their research and they will figure out which horse has the best chance of winning. And out of $1,000, if a bookie makes $1,000 from a race, the bookie could end up paying out $3,000 to the winners because half of them picked the winning horse. And that's a massive loss. So obviously the bookie has to actually work out the odds in order to discourage his punters from all betting on the same horse, or on the obvious winner. The way they usually do that is by giving out higher prices for horses that are less likely to win. So for every horse that has a 1% chance of winning the race, their odds are 100 to 1, which means if you put a stake of $10 on that horse, you have a 1% chance of winning $1,000. This makes both bets attractive just to different people. The 1 to 1 obvious sure hit, and the 100 to 1 underdog, if you will. So everyone betting basically bets on different horses that way with different prices based on what they might get back if the horse wins. And maybe only instead of 50%, only 20% of them pick the 2-to-1 winner. And that would mean if the bookie made $1,000 from that race, he'd only be paying out maybe $600 to the winners, keeping a $400 profit. Another way the bookie discourages the punters from picking the winner is by making it harder to predict the winner. A handicap race is when fast horses are given heavier riders to give them a disadvantage against slower horses. And this is not to make the race more fair on the riders or on the horses or on the gamblers. It's to make the game harder and therefore more profitable for the bookie. So going back to Steam and how this relates to Steam, let's say that the authors on Steam are the horses and the curators are the bettors or the gamblers. Curators are incentivized to bet or vote on which post is going to make the most money. Now if it's obvious who to bet on, because we know Charlie Shrem, Dollar Vigilante, Sweet SSJ are going to make it to the trending page, then what does that mean for the bookie? And who is the bookie? You could argue that the reward pool is the prize, and if the prize is paying out more than the bookie is bringing in, you could argue that since people would leave for other platforms where they're more likely to make more money, that the bookie is the price of Steam, because these people that leave are potential investors. And if we make the game too easy for the curators, that they all just vote for the same people all the time, then it's user retention that suffers. Because people won't stick around on the website if it's the same people getting paid all the time and they don't get paid themselves. One other thing I wanted to touch on, when it comes to racing, there's also an early price and a starting price. So when the horses are weighed up on their chances of winning, the bookies releases their prices, and these are the early prices. The odds compilers basically come up with the prices based on all the variables and factors that affect the horse's chance of winning. But often then, as the bets are coming in and the bookie realizes how much money is being put on certain one or two horses, the bookie ends up lowering the prices for those horses and giving out better prices for less popular horses. So the price changes as the bets are coming in, and whatever price is there when the race starts is the starting price. So as the bets are coming in, if the horse proves to be more popular than expected, the bookie lowers the price and increases the incentive to bet on the other horses. The reason I wanted to bring that up is because let's imagine that the witnesses could be the odds compilers. And if this curation donation window, as I call it, is what incentivizes people to bet on the underdogs instead of the sure hits, then maybe it should be up to the witnesses to decide as the votes are coming in what the odds should be. Not just at the time of the hard fork, but whenever a witness thinks it should be adjusted. I could be wrong, but when I worked out that bringing that window down from 30 minutes to 5 minutes is going to make it easier to get in on those sure hits before all the curation rewards come in, that's going to make it a lot easier to profit from the obvious 2-to-1 winner. And there's absolutely no incentive to vote on the newer authors, because even though they have really low odds of winning, there's no really high price to balance out the high price of the obvious winners. The bookmaker's betting game comes with balance. Right? Whatever the odds are of them winning, they're balanced through incentives. So there's an incentive to vote or to bet on the ones that are not necessarily going to win because the return is higher. Now in Steam, obviously it's different because it's not that you risk losing more money by going for the underdogs. What you actually do is you spend more time because you can't just bet on the obvious ones. You have to actually read and see what is the better content. And I mean, the wait is obviously annoying, waiting the 30 minutes before you can vote because you want that curation reward. But who's to say that there won't be an app where you can pick what time your vote goes in at? Obviously there's a risk involved because people can still get in front of you, But that type of app would solve that problem of, but I don't want to wait half an hour to vote. If it gets easier to get curation rewards on the sure hits by shortening that window, then it would also get harder if we lengthen it. And right now, I don't think it's hard enough, because we still see the same authors on the trending page. Aside from the vote buying, those people getting up there are still the usuals. And I know a shit ton of newer authors who deserve a place up there once in a while. Anyway, thanks for listening. Don't forget to tune in to the VOTU podcast. We're streaming live on steamstar.net every Sunday. Go to the website to see what time it is in your time zone. We have a group of people there every week who converse over different problems on the Steam blockchain. It's always constructive, it's always opinionated, and it's always open for anybody's voice to join in. So you can go to steamstar.net to listen live, and if you want to join in on the conversation, join the Discord link that's in the post.